only been seeing them videos of the oil refinery people.
So are you saying that you're going to get out of trucking in 2 years?
Probably.
How long you been driving?
Since 2018.
Okay.
I kind of want to get my life back.
What you mean get your life back?
Ever since I started, I was doing OTR. And yeah, sometimes we get like downtime.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Have you ever thought about regional?
What? I left my wife a pilot on accident.
What?
She got out of the truck. I didn't know.
Lord Jesus, Lord Jesus. Oh my God. So here's the thing. I used to wonder while I was out still driving, I would come out of a truck stop and I would see this driver just standing there like, they're outside, right outside the doors of the truck stop. They're looking on this side. They're looking on that side, standing there before anything happens. Now, look, if we stop and you need to get out, let me know. Or we're going to leave this, your shoes, a safety vest, something in that front seat so that you know that I'm gone. That person is gone. Have those conversations now because you don't want to end up in that situation. All right. After leaving his wife, I was
Saying stuff, either electricity or oil refinery. I mean, they make good money. It's long hours too, but I'm just after the money. I try to keep somewhat of my life.
That's it. Don't try to talk me into nothing else. I mean, you know, you have to do what gives you peace.
Yeah,
and for me, I'm just a natural, I don't know, gypsy. We're on social media. You'll be watching all your friends and family getting together, going out to eat, and it's going to make you feel some kind of way because you'll start getting homesick. The way that you prevent yourself from experiencing that so much is have a reason why you are doing this career. If my goal is to have $50,000 in the bank, that is a very strong motivator. Where she lived from there was about 45 minutes away. And it was great because I had the opportunity to, you know, spend a couple of days with her. So you can take your home time anywhere in the country you want. Yesterday I was asking you, what is it that you want? You have to have a why. Here's why. If you're on social media, if you're really close to your friends and family, and you're not making a plan on why you're doing this job, if at this level, what's going to happen when we go out on that road test? The truck might not stop. I have had trailers in my career where during the wintertime, the brakes froze up and I come to a stop like I should normally do. Not that my load was super heavy, and even when it was, the trailer is sliding because those brakes are locked up. And that's really scary when you have people around you. Yes. It's not an automatic fail. What they're probably going to do is tell you to tell your trainer to go get another trailer. Because you can't do the rest of your testing. Because remember, we got to do a backing test. We got to do a road test. If the brakes are not holding at this level, what's you always wanted? I'm making you guys think about this stuff now because if you don't think about it, there are plenty of reasons why in trucking to give up. You'll go out there in the wintertime and be like, man, forget this. You know what I'm saying? If I have a strong why, then I'm not focused on the experience I'm having because I told you guys yesterday, we allow our drivers to make the call as to whether it's safe to drive or not. So y'all, I am thankful, but it is cold outside this morning. Just finished my truck inspections and I am super, super grateful for today. I'll be working with the instructors class day 2. What are you grateful for today? Think about it.
Like I do my little minimum requirements.
So here's my take on this. As a driver, I'm going to do the responsible thing. I don't care what somebody else tells me. It's my driver's license that's at stake, right? And so I got to make sure that I have safe equipment. I know my truck is safe. I've had to go and pick up trailers at customers, and one of the cross members was hanging. I'm not taking that trailer.
Because I heard a lot of horror stories from the reaper side where like y'all go through a lot of shitty trailers because of the previous driver dropped it off for y'all.
You know what, though?
And I go through that with flat.
I can honestly say with Brian, I mean, I picked up some shitty trailers over the years here. Back the 18 series and 19 series.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you, every time I've had a problem with Ryan, and I've called it in and let them know whatever's wrong with it, there's always somewhere close, when I say close, within 5, 6, 10 miles, or they always have somebody come out and look at it.
Absolutely. So
Honestly, I've never had a problem on the reefer side.
same.
I really can't really say anything bad because every time I called it in or did my pickup inspection,
Right.
macro,
Yes.
because if you don't do that or you drop macro, if something comes wrong,
You're the one who was the last driver.
But you know, whenever I pick up the next trailer, right, I'll get like a little buzz on the Qualcomm, or I don't know what the Jill tab's gonna do for me, but I'll get that little message like, hey, message trailer so and so got these issues, and I'm like, okay. And then whenever I get stopped at a DOT in California, they'll do like the type of inspection that I normally can't do, like, you know, get at least with the creeper. Like they're very anal about everything.
I already
and
know.
They'll get on me, and I'm like, dude, I don't do that. I do.
But yet and still, even though you tell me that, as the driver, you are ultimately responsible for making sure you have safe equipment. Sometimes that doesn't work. And sometimes you can tilt the release handle to tilt the fifth wheel down, but sometimes that don't work. Trust me, I've tried it all. I've made the mistakes for y'all. Yes. It's right there. The release handle is what you do to unhook.
I mean, I took the plate with like my stick, and then, you know, I leave it there so I can back it up or move forward to get out. It's an hassle to do it by yourself solo.
Yeah, I've dropped airbags, I've put pressure into my tires.
I told y'all at least 5 times in my career, I went past it, and once I got in that position, especially when the trailer is loaded, it is heck to get that, fixed. So, all right. So the sliding fifth wheel and locking pin. This is the slider right here. That's the locking pin. It's properly mounted and secure, not cracked, bent, or broken. The locking pins. I'd have to see your truck so I could see what you're talking about, because it's a little different than a Freightliner truck. All right. So the instructor must be present with the apprentice during any backing. So you can't come in here and use the bathroom and leave your brand new student on the pad doing backing on their own. They need to set the brakes and wait for you to come back. All right. High visibility clothing and closed-toed shoes are required on the training pad. So I've seen people come out there with flip-flops, Crocs, and have had to tell them, even though that's not my job, but guys, we're trying to protect the whole company, so they have to have closed-toed shoes. Crocs are not acceptable, even from you trainers.
These rules here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So high visibility clothing, I'm wearing this right now. Safety vest, definitely. The reason why we need to have that is it's required, number one. Number two, we have students out there who are not used to seeing all the way around the truck. If you walk out there with dark clothing and they're backing and they don't see you, we're asking for problems. So it's a safety thing, so make sure that you have all that together. Do not walk or drive through the training pads. So you'll see people out here working with their students or testing. Please do not walk through anywhere where you see cones or lines. That's a training pad, okay? We don't want to enter that space. I don't want to see you guys have arguments with other trainers because you just walk through their pad while they're working with their student, okay? Throw away all trash and cigarette butts. The cones are not a trash can. And yes, people. We have lifted up cones and found water bottles. Guys, you have a garbage in your truck. If you are out there drinking or anything, make sure you get rid of your trash because we don't want to have to clean it up. We recently resurfaced this thing. I think it was in March. And it looks really nice. Like, we at Springfield have the biggest training pad. I think Pittston's is like down the street. I haven't been to Salt Lake, so I don't. Yeah, that's what I heard.
Sorry, they're like
real close to each other. And that's stressful. So, you know, when you come here, you can see the investment that it took to create this. I remember when we weren't even over here. So we want to make sure that they're going to learn on a regular basis is properly mounted and secure. We use the PMS to remind them that's what they're going to say. Properly mounted and secure. I always tell them everything on the truck should be properly mounted and secure. Catchphrase number 2, not cracked, bent, or broken. That applies to metal items, hard plastics, windshields, and mirrors. I know when I see those items, I'm going to say that phrase. The last catchphrase is no abrasions, bulges, or cuts. What does that remind you of? Tires, what else? Tires, belts, hoses, rubber items. I'm only going to use that phrase when it comes to rubber items. If the item has liquid in it, I'm going to say it's filled to the manufacturer's specification and it's not leaking. That could apply to liquid items or things that have air in them. Okay. All right, on the in-cab inspection, they're going to go over the air brake test, the parking and trailer brake check, the service brake check, light indicators, emergency equipment, windshield and traffic monitoring devices or mirrors, wipers and washers, heater and defroster, and the horns. All of these things, they got to be pointing to what they're talking about. So this is where the actual air brake tests start. And you guys I'm going to go over it with you. You're going to tell the examiner. So if you look on your pre-trip sheet, you're seeing all these words. This is where it starts. Your student or you, they're going to be sitting in the passenger seat, driver's seat. The examiner is going to be in the passenger seat. And they're going to say, Mr. Examiner, there are 4 stages to the air brake test. Stage 1 is the build to governor cutoff. Stage 2 is the applied pressure test. Stage 3 is the pump down to the warning light and buzzard. And stage 4 is the pump down till both protection valves pop out. Notice I didn't give any numbers here. Okay, this is just you. Is tied to your income. And so you want to be intentional about, like, you see those trainers right there, they're all local. Every day before their students get on the pad, they work with them on that pre-trip. And so if you don't spend the time with them on this pre-trip, guys, you're going to pay. It's going to cost you. Do you understand what I'm saying? So if I had to tell you anything, of course, you're going to have to teach them how to do the maneuvers and all of that. But the first test is the air brake test. And so spend quality time on that and the entire pre-trip. All the other things, the mechanics of it, backing up the truck, you can teach them how to do that once you learn the reference points, right? Everything else, the most important, like I said, is the pre-trip. If you don't spend time there, it will cost you. It will cost you to where when you put your student on the test schedule, they're going to fail. And now you're upset because you're going to be here another 2 days working with them on that training pad. We want to avoid that. Okay. All right. So stage 3 is the pump down till the warning light and buzzard. And stage 4 is the pump down till the tractor protection valve and the parking brake valve pop out. Stage 1, once they've acknowledged what those stages are, now they're going to say, my transmission's in neutral, and then start the engine. And soon as they start the engine, they got to push in both valves. Because stage 1 says, I'm building the air pressure to governor cut between 120 to 140 psi. How do they build the air pressure? Accelerate. So they're going to do that until they hear what we call the sneeze. What's that sound? That's what it sounds like. Soon as they hear that, they're going to look on that air pressure gauge and they're going to tell the examiner the exact PSI that they heard that sound. That's the sneeze. They're going to look for, you have a Peterbilt and you guys have Freightliners? Okay, so Freightliner, this is what it kind of looks like. They're going to be looking at the primary gauge, which is the white needle. Whenever they hear that sound, they're going to look at that needle and they're going to tell the examiner the exact PSI that governor cut out. Once they do that, they're going to stage 2. They're going to say to the examiner, the air pressure is between 120 to 140 or governor cut out. I'm going to turn off my engine, turn the key back to the on position. But before they turn the truck off, they need to make sure those valves are in, okay? They're going to tell the examiner, I'm going to fully depress the brake and wait for the gauges to stabilize. So on this one, they're going to tell them what they're going to do, and then they're going to perform it. So they're going to say, I'm going to fully depress the brake, wait for the gauges to stabilize. They're going to be pointing to that air pressure gauge, and they're going to say to the examiner, I will be checking to make sure I don't lose more than 4 psi in 1 minute while listening for air leaks. The minute they say that, while listening for air leaks, foot all the way down to the floor. They're going to hold it there, the needle's going to move, and once the needle stops, that means it's stabilized. Right at that moment, they're going to turn to the examiner and they're going to say, will you start my time now? Their foot stays all the way down to the floor. The examiner times them for 1 minute. And once the examiner says to them that 1 minute is up, they're going to say, I did not lose more than 4 psi in 1 minute and I didn't hear any leaks. I'm now going to stage 3. Stage 3 is the pump down till the warning light and buzzer comes on. So they're going to tell the examiner first and then they're going to do it. I'm going to pump down on the brake pedal till the warning light and buzzer comes on at or before 55 psi. It used to be 60. Now it's 55. It took me a minute to get that out of my brain and say 55. If they say 60, they fail. Okay, so I'm going to pump down until my warning light and buzzer comes on at or before 55 psi, and then they just start pumping. They're going to pump on the Freightliner. This whole thing lights up and this little light comes on. So as soon as they hear the sound and they see that the warning light comes on, they're going to look on their air pressure gauge. It'll be over here, and they're going to tell the examiner the exact PSI that happened. My warning light and buzzer came on at 55 or 58 or whatever the number. Sure. You have to push the HSA button. So right when they get to stage 3, teach them to push that HSA button, because otherwise it'll go instead of, you know what I mean? All right. Now I'm going to stage 4. Stage 4 is the pump down till the tractor protection valves and the parking brake valves pop out. I'm going to pump down on the brake pedal till both the tractor protection valve and the park brake valve pop out between 45 and 20 psi. It used to be 40 and 20. Okay, they're going to pump down until the last valve pops out. Whenever the last valve pops out, they're going to look at their air pressure gauge and tell the examiner the exact PSI. They're not going to say 45 to 20. They already acknowledge that. The last valve might pop out at 25 psi. That's the number they need to tell. Okay? And those are the 4 stages. Now, let me say this. At any time that they screw up, okay? They can ask the examiner, can I start over? That means they got to start all the way over from stage 1. Make sure you teach them to pull the valves back out, because if they start over and they leave those valves in, again, we got an auto fail, okay? They have to reset those valves. Maybe they realize they forgot to say something, so you want to make sure that they get it right, because again, they won't find out that they failed until they complete that air brake test. They have to point to my fire extinguisher. Where is it at? Point to it, say the verbiage for it. My 3 red reflective triangles. We're saying it's under the bunk, but it's wherever you have it. If you have it in the side box, they need to say it's in the side box. Where are my spare electrical fuses? Point to it and say it. Demonstrate the city horn, the air horn. Now, this is new verbiage. Windshield and traffic monitoring devices. The windshield and mirrors are clean, no cracks or breaks, no obstructions, and the mirrors are in proper adjustment for me. Monitoring devices is a new term because in the future, there are going to come trucks that have monitors inside of the tractor, cameras on the outside that will show you all the way down both sides of the trailer. So we have to acknowledge that verbiage. Windshield and wipers, same verbiage. Excuse me. Then we got to do the heater and defrost. Turn the fan all the way up, all the way on heat. It should be on this setting or this one. And they got to reach up for the defrost, reach down below the leg for the heater. Light indicators. Everything we're talking about, we're pointing to. Left turn signal, right turn signal, 4-way flashers, high beam, and the new one is the DEF fluid indicator. On the Freightliners, is right there in the fuel tank. Where's your DEF? Is it a separate?
It's all digital, so.
Oh, okay. So it has a separate on the Peterbilt. Okay. So they're just pointing and talking to it, talking about what they are. After that, now we got to do the lights and lenses. It used to just be the light check, but it's the exact same verbiage. They're going to start by telling the examiner, I will check all my lights, lenses, reflectors, reflective tape the same way. They're properly mounted and secure, not cracked, bent, or broken, clean and illuminated, the proper color of amber to the front and sides, red to the rear. Once they acknowledge that, now they got to go around the whole truck and name all of those lights. Everything on top is clearance, everything down below is marker. But before they even start, what does that word illuminated mean? Okay, please tell your students to turn the lights on, because they can say all of this and it won't even matter if they did not turn those lights on. How are we going to do a light check? And you cannot be pushing that button. No, we can't do that. So you want to teach them to turn those lights on before they even start talking about lights. Then they're going to go around the whole truck. This slide doesn't reflect all the lights on the truck, but they're going to walk around and acknowledge marker light, reflective tape, reflector, and any lights that are on the truck all the way around, including the ABS and marker light on the driver's side and on the other side of the truck. So they're acknowledging all of this. They end up right there at the passenger side. Then they're going to do what's called the 5x5. This hasn't changed. You should tell the examiner to help you. You notice the person is inside the truck, okay? My 5 functions: left turn signal, right turn signal, 4-way flashers, high beams, and brake lights. The 5 locations, excuse me, are the front of the truck, both sides of the truck, rear of the truck, both sides of the trailer, and the rear of the trailer. They must do each function at each location. And then they're going to start right on the engine compartment. So on the engine compartment, we used to have a lot more to say. They've condensed it down. And so, you know, when they first came up with this new modernized pre-trib, I was kind of mad. And I'm going to tell you why, because I was afraid that we're going to be producing these people who really don't know how to inspect their truck, because we're not covering everything. But the truth of the matter is, there's going to be some people who are going to phase out of trucking, especially the elderly. They're going to get to where they retire. Who's going to drive the trucks? So what this is doing nationwide is making it easier for single parents to come in, veterans to come in, all kinds of people to come into the trucking industry and change their careers. So this is what we're talking about on the engine. You see how little that is? Those are the parts. So starting in the front, they're checking now for leaks and leans. Oops. They're checking for leaks underneath the truck, checking that the truck isn't leaning to the left or to the right. Now, I teach them when it comes to this engine compartment and everything else on the outside of the truck, they need to point to the thing they're talking about. On the side of the engine, on the passenger side, I tell them to wave over this whole engine, because we're talking about general hoses. General is not a specific hose. So I'm going to wave over the engine and say the verbiage. Same thing on the driver's side. From there, we acknowledge the coolant level, say the verbiage for that. The dipstick, they don't have to pull it out, but they need to say it's filled to the manufacturer's specification, checked with the dipstick. Then they go to the power steering fluid level and say the verbiage for it. Now, you guys, if you'll look in each one of these sections, it has like these little bubbles. Every time your student gets that together, circle it in so you know what they've already learned, and we can move on to the next compartment. So maybe we're doing engine for 2 days, and then we go from engine to coupling or whatever is next, lights. But you want to make sure you're working on it, because, and then you should hold the sheet and let your students say the verbiage, even if they have to do it with the sheet for a while until they get it down. And then you just start checking off, because guess what's happening? When they start saying it out loud, guess who else is learning the new verbiage? You guys, okay? So make sure that they are learning it correctly. All right, the steering gearbox. Man, 6 pages versus 10 is a huge difference. Right, none of that. So, but here's the thing about that. All of the things that we're not mentioning, don't tell them before they pass their test, but after their test, pull them aside and be like, hey, there's some things they didn't talk about on engine compartment. Let me just show you what they are. You need to know what they are and what they do. Or you can tell them when you upgrade and you get your own truck, anything you don't know about, pull your truck over to the shop, and one of the shop mechanics can come out and show you those things that you don't know. But either way, we want to make sure that they know that there's more to talk about than just what, yeah, we're doing this to pass the test. Doesn't mean you don't have next level learning. Because, okay, they take a logs class before you guys can come and get them out of class. They take a more extensive log class as part of their upgrade process. So the same thing applies when you're teaching them all of these things that are not being said. Go back and kind of go over it just real quick, just as a extra bonus for being such an awesome trainer. Hey, when I was driving in California, their equipment was just horrible. And, you know, it was one of them starter jobs. I didn't know. But they had customers that knew they had raggedy equipment and still allowed them to load the truck. But I went to go tell my fleet manager at the time that there were holes. There were 3 holes this size in the trailer floor, okay? And so I told him about the holes in the floor, And he says, oh, go ahead and take it over there. It's on the other side of town. Take it over there anyway. They know us. We've been working with them for years. Okay, so I drive all the way on the other side of town. I'm on time for my appointment. I get there, I back into the dock, the loader walks in the trailer. I'm on the dock watching. He took one step in and seen the first hole, and he looked and saw the next one, and the next one, he said, I'm not loading this trailer. So now I got to take the trailer all the way back over to the other side of town, and I go tell my terminal manager what happened. And you know, it doesn't make sense for real quick, because today you guys will be evaluated on that. I'm going to hook up to a trailer so you guys can learn the new backing. Who has done PSDs before? You have. Okay, so no more alley dock, no more offset, no more parallel. My name is Dee Silva, so I'm one of the in-house instructors here. Dave, who's not here yet, but he'll be here soon, is the other one. So we're going to be taking several breaks throughout the day, and I know it's going to be hard to sit in on this class because you've been out there working. I already know. Guys, when I used to have to come off the road to sit on a class, it was overwhelming because you're tired still. So I am considerate of that, but I am going to ask that you take notes and you pay attention, you know, because all of this is going to benefit you. Being a driver is hard enough, but now you're taking on the responsibility of somebody else's future. And whether you know it or not, you're recreating another version of you. How do you drive? How do you act when you're out in public? I need you to think about that while we're going through this whole process. You're creating a mini-me. Y'all, I got so many mini-me's out there. I got tons. And I love that I set the tone for those people because of how I conducted myself. And I want you guys to think about that. Don't just think about the financial gain. We all know you're here for financial gain, okay? We know that. But the other part of it is being able to serve somebody as if they were your customer. Does that make sense? If they were your customer and you knew that you were going to make X amount of dollars by being good to that customer, by valuing that customer, how would you act? I got that holy hush in the room. I take into consideration whatever their background is. I have a hard time memorizing names because there's so many that come here in a weekly basis. But one thing I do not forget is faces and stories. And so when I hear those stories, I take it upon myself to make sure that I'm making a difference. It doesn't matter what anybody else is doing, that I'm making a difference. I avail myself. And so you're going to have these students that are going to have issues. You're going to have to, you know, take a deep breath sometimes, because those issues will affect how you're able to communicate to the person, how they're able to receive it. And then you're going to have to check yourself. How do you deal with stress? You know, so that's what I want you guys to think about when you're going through this process. It's so much bigger than you. You guys ought to give yourselves a hand just because you're drivers here at Prime and you are making a difference as a driver. Do y'all know that if you guys didn't do what you do, that affects everybody in this company? So I'm really grateful for you, and I'm thankful that you're taking the time to do this. And so with that said, I just want you to keep thinking about your student. What's going on in their life? What's at stake? Be a champion of yourself and know that you can do this. You can do this. There's going to be days you're going to doubt that, because that student is going to challenge you. And you're going to have to maybe take a walk somewhere, get out of the truck, you know, just walk at the tail end to the trailer and just take a deep breath, pray if you need to, but don't let them win, okay? You're the trainer, they're the student. And you always need to wear this hat without, you know, sticking your chest out like, do as I say. You need to be able to wear that integrity to such a degree that they respect you, because if you do your job right, they're going to always call you. I can't tell you how many students come here and they come through this program, and I'm nobody special, I'm just being me. But they will come back and find me when they get their CDL and they get their truck. And, you know, there's such a pride in that. And I love that because it means that I did something right. And so that's what I want you guys to experience. Not just the monetary value of what you're about to do, but I want you to experience the gift of giving. Everybody doesn't have the circumstances that you grew up in. You got to find a way to reach that person based on who they are and the way that they learn. Okay? There are different teaching styles. Some students are visual. They have to see it over and over again. Some are auditory. They got to hear it over and over. So if you're on the 50,000th time you've told them how to back this truck doing an alley dog, be patient. That's how they learn. They got to hear it over and over. Kinesthetic person is hands-on. They got to touch everything. You ever have or been around somebody who has to do their pre-trip by touching the parts on the pre-trip? 7 years. 8 months. 18 months. So that's a year and a half. 2 years.
About 6.5, 7
years. Okay. I'm just checking because I forget. I have to, y'all got to remind me.
8 years.
8 years?
Year and 8 months.
Year and 8 months. How long?
8 months.
Okay. 10 years? All right, now we got a veteran in the house. Whoop. What? I think you're a veteran when you have 5 years or more, because you've seen a lot, you've done a lot. You still got a lot of growing to do. But you've learned a lot of things that can help our students. Even if you have a year, 6 months to a year, you've experienced a lot in that 6 months. You've been quite a distance across this country. So I'm saying that because I don't want you guys doubting who you are as trainers. Okay? Sometimes we think it's easy because we have all this experience to be able to just get out there and train somebody. You're looking at somebody who has 32 years in the industry, and I came in here and didn't know nothing about training. Do you hear what I'm saying? So I learned how to do it. I learned how to work with people. And that's my goal for you guys, is to be able to do that.